Hello, and welcome to Conversations About Kindness. My name is Kelly Knox, and I am the host of this show, and I am the founder of the Kindness Project. And today we are going to be speaking, or I am going to be speaking with Erin McKay. She is part owner of Treetop Yoga and a mom of 4 kids and an active community member. So welcome, Erin.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I'm very excited about the conversation. Yeah. Earlier, or I guess at the end of last week, I had said something to you about, because I've just felt really like angry, and there was a lot of construction outside my window. I'm trying to work in here. And I told you, I just am trying to not be mean. And I think you said something like that's a kind thing to do.
Yeah, I think you said something like, I'm just trying to take it all in, but I'm trying not to be mean. And I said, I think acknowledging that you're trying not to be mean is a form of loving kindness.
That's what you said. Yeah. So I feel much better today. I was actually, I took my walk this morning around Gloucester. I'm a big Gloucester walker. And I really try to say hi to people. It's weird because I'm walking and I feel like I need to keep my head down. I can't look at anybody, but that's not what this whole thing is about, right? Oh, the COVID-19 virus.
Yes, that actually happened on our walk the other day. My husband and I took our dog and did the whole, we live in East Gloucester, so you inevitably do the back shore, and there's just one sidewalk, and it was beautiful out, so there were a lot of people on the sidewalk. And Sean and I would, if someone was coming at us, we would just kind of step into the brush or onto the rocks and let them go by and maintain our distance, or we'd step in the street. And at one point we came along this gentleman and we stepped to the side and he said, thank you. These are weird times. He's like, I'm so embarrassed we have to do this. And I felt really badly for him. Like, kindness, we were doing something kind. We were honoring that 6 feet.
Yeah.
He was doing something kind of pausing to let us kind of step aside. And it made me feel badly that he was embarrassed about it. We're not used to interacting in this way.
Yeah, it's very, very, very different. I had that similar experience the other day. I was walking this way and a couple was walking this way, and we were inevitably going to be at the same spot at the same time, and they stopped. And I said, thank you. And they said, no problem. And we both went,
Yeah.
So I think one of the kindest things that you did and partners of Treetop was you closed before you had to.
We did. It was a really hard decision. We closed on a Sunday, which was around, I think, like March 14th, maybe. And the few days leading up to that, we had noticed reduced numbers in our studio, but we were really scared about having our employees have no work. Our teachers are independent contractors, and without teaching, they wouldn't have an income. And for some of our teachers, it's definitely, they have other jobs or they have spouses who are employed, but we have a good number of teachers that it's their sole income, teaching at Treetop and other studios around the North Shore, doing private lessons. So that was really hard, saying, what do we do about these employees? And then it was also hard. We had so many students coming to us saying, thank you so much. Social distancing means social isolation for me. I live alone, so coming to the studio is keeping me connected to people, or I'm so anxious and coming to the studio is really helping me. So we were feeling this tug of like staying open for people, but also feeling it wasn't the socially responsible thing to do to stay open when they were really starting to explain the value of social distancing. So we, I think on like a Thursday or Friday, we were like, we're going to have to close. How should we do this? And then by Saturday, it was like, we have to close. So we went into the Sunday classes teaching them, knowing that we were announcing that afternoon that we would close. And I taught the Sunday morning class. I think it was the 8:30 class. And it was funny. I just felt this as we went through the class together and we ended. I just felt this like calm, this is the right thing to do. Like, it was reassuring. And it was a scary thing to do. It was a sad thing to do. But the reaction was so supportive. The number of emails we got from our students in support of us, and our teachers saying thank you, so.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you finding that you have a high number of students on the Zoom classes?
We're starting to see an increase. So we went virtual. Neither my business partner, Cheryl Swansberg, and I, neither of us, I would say, are technically savvy. So that took some self-loving kindness to get through the first week. What we initially did was we just said, we don't know what we're going to do, but let's start having some free classes on Facebook Live that gives our teachers a chance to teach and our students a chance to practice. And because they were Facebook Live, they were free. But we put up on our website, if you watched this and it has value to you, please click this link if it's within your means to pay for the class. And it was, I couldn't believe how many people did that all of those teachers who taught, we were able to pay them, what they would normally get paid for a class. And then it became apparent that we needed, you can't maintain Facebook Live. It's just, it's not the way to go. It became apparent we needed something else. And a lot of other studios were moving towards Zoom. Some of our teachers had already done Zoom in the past, so we moved to that. And, that first weekend that we had it was like, oh, are people going to buy into this? But every day, more and more people email us, what is Zoom about? I want to try it. And we're really lucky. A lot of our members have chosen to stay members. Some of them are even maintaining their membership and also paying for a class every time they take it, just because they want to support the teachers. And so it has been a true model of kindness, just like we've seen the outpouring of support, takeout from our local restaurants. We have felt that from our students as well.
Yeah,
so.
That's fabulous.
Yeah.
We really do live in a kind community.
I think so. We moved here in 2011, and we were from a neighborhood in Boston that felt like a tight-knit community. We loved our Boston public school, but you really notice in Gloucester, people take care of each other. We've always noticed that, but I think you especially have noticed it through this experience.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Yeah. A theme that's kind of coming up in our conversation is self-love, self-kindness,
Yes.
which I think is huge key in getting through this mentally and spiritually intact. Because I think a lot of people are struggling. I myself struggle with depression, and I haven't been depressed in any clinical way in a number of years, but edging that way, just because I feel trapped, and I live in a small apartment and I live alone. I have a cat, thank God. Like there's something alive moving around. But I need to practice loving kindness. I need to figure out what's the kindest thing I can do for myself in this given moment. And then if I'm kind to myself, I can be kind to other people. That's how I see it.
Yes. I mean, I think that every teacher I've ever had has always shared, you have to love yourself before you can love others.
Yeah.
It's really hard to love others when you don't love yourself. So, I was listening to a podcast the other day. Brené Brown has a new podcast, and it really made me think of some of these moms who are posting on social media, like, I'm trying to stay positive for my kids, but this is really hard, and then I break down. And I think we all need to acknowledge, like Brené Brown was saying, acknowledge it, the sadness, the disappointment, the anger, whatever it is, acknowledge it. Like, it's okay to have those feelings. Mm-hmm. The most kind thing you can do to yourself once you acknowledge it is, what are you going to do with it? How do you let it create a pit in your stomach that you just keep ignoring? Do you have the good cry? Do you blast? I have a teacher who calls it the turn your ship around playlist. Like, you create a playlist of the songs that have always made you sing out loud in the car, blast the playlist and dance in the kitchen? You know, what are you going to do with it once you acknowledge it? Because it's not easy for anybody. And I keep saying, you know, I'm thinking about these families of only children. You know, I feel really badly for these only kids who are home without siblings to play with. And then my friends with only children are like, oh my gosh, how are you surviving with 4 kids at home? Like, we're all having a lot of empathy for each other in this experience. We all acknowledge the experience is different in many ways, but we are all in this shared experience.
Right. Yeah, that's another key thing too, is feeling connected to other people. And if you can maintain some type of connection.
Yes. And who knew that, you know, all of us were to the point we couldn't stand social media. In fact, the last time I saw you in person was at an Awesome Gloucester meeting. And I was feeling so frustrated. You were presenting on the Kindness Project, and it was in the height of a lot of chatter about the new school, the new elementary school.
Right. Yeah.
I was almost about to give up social media because I was just so upset at how unkind people were being to each other on social media. And now within a month's time, it was probably about a month ago that I saw you at Awesome Gloucester. You know, I'm feeling like, thank goodness for social media. It's keeping me connected. You know, who knew through these Zoom classes, I would feel connected to a student taking my class, and that student would feel connected to me. We're just craving that human experience.
Yeah. Yeah. And you have to be open to it.
Mm-hmm.
Like earlier in our conversation, you said something about loving yourself first, how key that is. I remember I've been told that, you know, for years. You got to love yourself first. And I spent years thinking, well, what does that mean?
Yeah.
What do you mean love myself first? Of course I love myself, but it took a long time to really be open to, and I don't even know how to explain it. I'm sure other people would explain it better, but you just need to let it go. And like you said, have a good cry, scream into a pillow, acknowledge all that you're feeling, and forgive yourself and others for whatever perceived thing, you know, is blocking you.
Yeah. Seeing the lesson of, I think, how you react to it, both initially, or I just see my reaction changing, even like how I felt 2 weeks ago compared to how I felt now, or having days where I'm like all day holding back the tears, like I cannot do another math packet with my child. But the next day being like, these math packets are pretty fun, you know, like that. It is what it is.
Right. You can change your perception.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of us, well, I can't speak for everyone. When I first started hearing that, you know, you have to love yourself before you love others, that was really hard.
Yeah.
You know, when you're raised in this idea of like, you know, be kind to others, be kind to others, be kind to others, but you never hear the message as strongly, be kind to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It feels a little selfish when you first start to learn it and you experience it. And it'll be interesting. Maybe our kids, it'll be normal to them.
Yeah.
You know? But I mean, I think we're probably around the same age. Just, you know, there was always the message of be kind to others, but I don't know that there was as strong of a message of be kind to yourself.
Yeah. Brene Brown, you mentioned her earlier, was a key part of my growth, like that.
Yeah. I love her.
Yeah, I do too. I love her. And I can't remember her name. She wrote a book called Self Compassion. Kristen Neff. Yeah, she was good too. So I have in my hand the cards.
Yes.
You've used these at home.
Well, we're trying to use them, and some nights it's awesome.
Yeah.
And other nights my kids aren't very kind. So one of the, you know, we keep talking about what's making us sad or what's been hard about this, but I feel like there's been a lot of silver linings. And the silver lining in our family is that we're having family dinners. So we moved to Gloucester because my husband was in a career that he was never home for dinner, never. Maybe weekends, but he was tired and he had a BlackBerry. So we've had family dinner, but we've never had 7 nights a week of family dinner. So now we can't go anywhere. And the kids were like, come on down, dinner, so we're having family dinner. So last week I took out a card and it was the best conversation. Like the 7-year-old was contributing and the 16-year-old was contributing. And I was like, so proud of myself. So the next night I took another card out. We just randomly draw it. And they're like, this is so stupid. Who would even say that? So some nights they participate and some nights they don't, but it's living. The deck is living on our dining room table. And when I posted that on social media, a few other families who got the cards at Awesome Gloucester also were like, we've been doing it too. So
Oh, very cool. Yeah, 2 people bought decks from off my website. You
yay.
want to pick a card and finish up our conversation that way?
Sounds good.
All right. Let's see what we have. Some of the questions are stupid. I'm good with the kids saying that. That's such a stupid question. If it's a stupid question, I'm not going to read it. How does it feel when you see acts of kindness? Because I've seen a lot of them as I walk. We were talking about that earlier. How does it feel when you see something like that?
I'm a crier. So I've found myself just crying tears of joy a lot in the past few weeks, seeing acts of kindness. And I guess it depends on who's being kind. I think that it's when you see someone who maybe has a hard exterior and you don't always think of as the kindest person, and then they offer this act of kindness, it's refreshing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it gives you faith in humankind. Or seeing kindness just kind of in a broad spectrum of multiple people being kind in lots of small ways. That is what kind of gets me like teary-eyed. Like we're not as eccentric as we sometimes think we are in this society of fast-going technology. It's forced us to slow down, and seeing those acts of kindness it's either overwhelming feelings of joy, or I like it when it proves me wrong.
Yeah, ditto on all of that. A friend of mine sent me a post that a friend of hers posted, and he said he's like a self-described, I'm not a kind person,
Mm-hmm.
but he felt necessary to share this, and it was a great story. He saw some homeless people, and they were kind of in his backyard, I guess. Yes. And he was really angry at first, and then he softened and realized they're homeless during the COVID-19 crisis. That's horrible. And he put together a gift basket. I mean, he put some really great things in there, and he put some old bottle of whiskey with it. And I was like, well, that's interesting gift basket. And he gave it to them, and it made me, I'm not that much of a crier anymore. I used to be a really big crier, but it filled me with joy, I guess, is what I felt.
I saw that post. I think he put it on something like Because Gloucester, like he made it very public.
Yeah, he did.
And he just said, most of you think I'm a jerk or something like that. And he ended it with like, are you going to do something kind for other people in this?
Yeah, and I just got the chills with you repeating that. That was great.
Yeah. I actually have a neighbor who I've never met. Her name's Irma, but her phone number was passed along to me because she's older and she needed someone to shovel her driveway, and she knew I had sons. So there was only one snowstorm this year, but they went over and shoveled, but we've never met. It's always been over the phone. And so I called her and I was like, Irma, I'm just checking in, do you need groceries? How's it going? And she was like, I can't even tell you what this has shown me, this experience. She's like, I have too many groceries. everyone I know is showing up with groceries and toilet paper for me. So
I just don't get the toilet paper thing.
I don't get the toilet paper thing either, but that and you know, then the more I thought about it, I'm like, why didn't I ever go over when it's not a snow day and knock on the door and introduce myself? Like, our life gets so busy. So when this is over and I feel like it's safe, we're gonna go over and knock on the door and, you know, introduce ourselves properly.
Very nice. And a very nice way to end the show.
Yes. Thank you,
Yes.
Kelly, for everything. I mean, I only know you through coming to Awesome Gloucester, and I have been in love with the Kindness Project since you presented it to us. I never made it to a dinner. We have a lot of sports in our family, but if anything, this will reprioritize our life afterwards to show where we want to be present and what matters. And being at a kindness dinner will definitely be high on our list.
Oh, thank you very much. That's very kind of you. But and I want to thank the audience for joining us today. And if you want to buy the deck of cards, you can go to the-kindness-project.org. Don't forget the dashes. And if someone wants to do a Zoom class, what do they do?
Yes, if you want to go to a Zoom class, you go to treetopyoga.com, and the instructions are at the top of our website. You register online, and then you will get an email back on how to connect through Zoom. And it's the perfect time to have a little loving kindness. If you're afraid to go to the studio and do it in front of other people, hey, you could do it in your pajamas in your living room.
There you go. Beautiful way to do yoga. That's how I do it.
Thank you.
Thank you. And see you next time.